own show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-Rig Kane show. Can't forget the name, yo. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-Rig champs. There's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-Rig Kane show. The 6-Rig Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another 6 Rings Kane show. Jazz should be joining us in a bit, but Blue DJ, do I have to ask how it's going? It's been a rough few days around here.
It's going okay, I mean, as Garfield says, I hate Mondays, and I do hate Mondays, but this weekend wasn't as fun either, so can't win them all.
Yeah, I used to like Fridays until last Friday. Don't like Fridays as much anymore.
Those Fridays, man. Those Friday games.
Yep.
Yeah, you talked about that before. You warned us, Blue. We didn't listen. Jazz actually, as Melissa pointed out to me, because, this is the most important thing on my mind is for losing that game. Jazz got the pick right. So you picked us to lose to Louisville. I'm like, I do not care even a little bit about that right now, but okay. Jazz did get the pick right. We'll get into it, obviously, break it down, look at the Stanford before. First, a word from our sponsor, 305-800-PAIN. After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305-800-PAIN, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they're a brand you can trust. Much like 5 Reasons Canes, 305-800-PAIN is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305-800-PAIN. The number is the brand, 305-800-PAIN. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada 305-800-PAIN, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800-PAIN tiene mucho en común con los 5 razones Canes. Están enfocados en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida del Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidentes de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800-PAIN. El número es el nombre de la marca. 305-800-PAIN. Yeah, they'll help with a lot of your ailments, but they can't help with whatever the hell happened to the Hurricanes on Friday. Blue, DJ, and I did the after show, so people got our thoughts. So just generally speaking, what went wrong on Friday?
Well, first of all, from the defensive standpoint, you ran against a good offensive coordinator that kind of, did the hurry up tempo, didn't go long, did a lot of short stuff, used Isaac Brown who could run the ball. From the defensive standpoint, I wasn't really, upset. I just think from Miami, penalty-wise, killed themselves. Uncharacteristic. You show me any team in the nation, you put Ohio State in the same situation against them and let them throw 4 picks, almost 5, and have all those penalty yards, and there's no way they'd win. But yet Miami had an opportunity to win the game on the last drive. So it was plain to see that Miami wasn't in sync offensively. They didn't run the ball well again, which was kind of bothersome because I thought that they would at least run the ball well. And then they forced Beck to do things that he shouldn't have been doing. He hit a couple of long passes downfield, but then thought he could do it all the time. And see, to me, I just think that that's not taking what was given to him, because once they gave up, a couple of long passes, what happened after that, then they started making adjustments. And it was just not a good technical game for Miami. The penalties, just stupid penalties, motion penalties, this, that, and it added up. But like I said, there's not a team in the country that can turn the ball over 4 times and have over 100 yards of penalties and still be in the game to the last couple of minutes of the game. So my takeaway in this whole game,
I would say it's a very talented team that played and coached an awful game. It felt like, and just it was sloppy, and it was a lot of what we saw. I think I'd like to get your take on. I mean, how bad is it that? I mean, we don't know anything, but in the pregame preview last week, we said, well, Louisville's going to load up on the run and take the run away. And they're going to go to a quick passing game. And they did exactly that. And the Canes did not appear
almost to a T, yeah,
ready to handle that. I think that's pretty bad. But those kind of obviously, it played into Louisville's strengths. The team, Miller Moss, I know he has his detractors. He's very accurate in the short to intermediate game. So their strengths and their good run defense lined up what the Canes, the way that they were going to take it away, I thought it was pretty obvious that was going to happen, and the Canes didn't appear prepared for it. Like the fact that the quick passing game got them off guard, I mean, we even talked about that. That shouldn't have been a surprise.
When they ran the ball well.
Yeah.
And what they did is, if you notice, everything was quick and up tempo. Everything was fast. They would get in the thing and then boom, boom. They'd run it quick, good little trap. Or they would throw real quick to the outside and then get 10, 12, 14 yards on it. They didn't do anything that was complicated. They just did things that was tough to defense. And, you give them credit. But, yeah, that's going to happen. And they're going to do that against a lot of teams, mostly everybody. I mean, they're a 4-1 team that has a chance to be 10-1, or 11-2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing that bothered me is Miami offensively should have been able to. Should have been like last year. It should have been like one of those 38-35 type of games, because Miami should have never been stopped, but they were. And yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, there was only the 2 touchdowns, and one, like you said, he hit Beck had a couple of deep balls on to set it up, and the other one was off of a fumble, and Malachi Toney just took it in off a reverse. I mean, there was no
nothing. Yeah, no. The thing, Vish, that bothered me the most is, like I said, is the one thing that you always say in game plans. You go, we can't give that team opportunities, and they kept giving them opportunities. Every time you have an opportunity to score, you throw an interception, or every time you make a good play, it's called back. And Miami, you could say the one thing that I sat there in the post-game press conference and kind of played is Miami didn't play a good game, and they were still in it. That's what I asked that question. I said, it's got to really bother you, the fact that you didn't play a good game, but yet you were in it to your last possession. And that's, to me, normally if you show me the statistics and show me the scenarios where he threw 4 picks and you had all those penalties, I said, oh man, you guys must have got mauled. But Miami's a better football team. So
yeah.
They're a much better football team.
That's why I say it's a very talented team that just didn't didn't play a good game and kind of was unprepared. I mean, the fact that they weren't ready for the fake field goal and the whole stadium knew they were going to fake it is inexcusable. It cost a touchdown.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's bring in our expert on picking Louisville to beat Miami in the preseason and Vegas pick right here, Mr. Jazz Santana.
Well, you went away from it.
You weren't backstage, but that's literally the games I do. That's what Melissa says. She's like, well, Jazz got his pick right. I'm like, I don't give a Jazz doesn't want to get his pick right. What are we doing here?
Jazz did not want to get his pick right. Trust me, Jazz did not want to get his pick right. So
those Friday nights, Jazz.
Yeah, so Jazz, DJ and I gave our thoughts on like kind of detail on what went wrong on Saturday morning show that we do afterwards. Blue just gave his, so tossing it over to you. What do you think kind of went wrong on Friday to cause that loss?
I mean, I'll keep it short. I'm sure that I'll be repeating a lot of what all of you said, but I think number one is the we came out and the offense did not perform well. Carson Beck did not perform well. He had obviously his worst game as a Miami Hurricane, but it's hard to win a football game when you throw 4 interceptions. And I'm not going to put this one on the defense because I think that the offense didn't give the defense a chance, right? The defense got you some 3-and-outs some punts with some decent field position, and you turn the ball over 2 or 3 times and with really good field position. So I think that that on top of the fact that we continue to have penalties, right? I don't know how many penalties we had. I think it was 9 or 10 penalties total, and that's just not enough to win ball games against really good football programs, right? And we said it before that Jeff Brom always has his teams prepared scheme-wise to be able to combat what it is you do really well. This is the second game in a row where a defense stops our running game. So here's my question is, like last year, right? South Florida kind of had the recipe for how to wreck this defense, and the defense just kind of fell apart. Have defenses figured out a way to stop this running game, or is it a fact, or is it a lot of questions surrounding whether Jordan Lyle coming back in has disrupted the running game a little bit, where it's just very vanilla as far as what type of concepts they're running, or is it just a lack of execution all around, right? Again, Carson Beck had a bad football game. And it was just a matter of a couple of things that we had spoken about, right? Limit penalties. If not, you're going to lose a football game if you continue to commit penalties at that rate. And Carson Beck needs to win when you stop the run. He was able to do it against FSU. Was not able to do it against against Louisville. I don't particularly. A lot of people have an issue with it. I don't particularly have an issue with the play calling per se. I know aside from maybe the running game, that I think the running scheme could use some work. But I think we need to be, even though I don't have an issue with it, I think we need to be a little more creative with how we use our wide receivers. I think Malachi Tony, as usual, did a great job. But look, at the end of the day, Louisville came out. They had a great game plan. They ran the football down our throats. Isaac Brown had a total of 90 yards or 94 yards in 3 games previously, and then he looked like the Doak Walker award winner against us. That cannot happen. We talked about Chris Bell being able to come in, and was he going to be able to out physical and beat our guys in coverage? Chris Bell had a ball game, right? He looked like whatever the wide receiver award is for the best wide receiver in the country, right?
Biletnikoff award.
Yeah, Biletnikoff. There you go. And then Miller Moss also looked pretty damn good, right? You give him enough time. That offensive line, apparently they lit a fire under that offensive line's ass because we weren't able to get enough pressure to make him make mistakes, and whether that was by plan or the defensive line just didn't play a great game. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm just kind of throwing everything in there because I know I don't have a lot of time today. But I just think it's a combination. It's a combination of a lot of different things that led to this loss, and it's a punch in the face, as I've mentioned a couple of times. That as cliche as it sounds, is maybe it's a punch in the face that Miami needed to wake up a little bit and realize they got some things that they need to work on to continue. It's a long season, so you got to be able to work on some things and get better, and not rely on your athleticism or how good you were the first 5 games. You got to continue to change. You got to continue to adapt and get better in order to make it to the playoffs this year. And now they don't control their own destiny in the ACC anymore. You got to have some other teams that have to lose and whatnot, which could get complicated. However, we've seen, some teams. This team could go 11-1 and still make the playoffs without making the ACC championship game. But these are the things that you have to talk about because this is what is expected of Miami Hurricanes football at this point, right? So we have to talk about, well, are they good enough to do this? Are they going to be able to make this? Are they going to be able to get in the playoffs and so on and so forth? So it was a punch in the face, and Miami needs to react now. They need to go back to the drawing board on a few things. They need to get better, and they need to come out and kick Stanford's ass next week or this weekend.
Yeah. And look, if they go 11-1, they'll make the playoffs 100%. That's not even a question.
I'm not too worried, by the way, and that's I preface it by saying I'm not too worried about this.
Yeah. Ironically, the playoffs are easier to make than the ACC.
Yeah, you just got to keep playing good football. Make the adjustments. And keep winning, right? I'm not too concerned about the loss in the sense that, oh my gosh, that's it, the season's over. This is a really good football team. This is a hell of a good football team. So is Louisville. Louisville's a top 10, no doubt about it, right?
Well, that's the other irony, right? Everyone's complaining, oh, they're no ranked team. Well, now Louisville's ranked. Congratulations.
Yeah. Inside the top 20 too.
It's funny how when you beat teams, they follow the rankings. They're no longer ranked.
Right.
So you might have lost to one of them. There you go. There's your ranked team.
Hey, and we stayed in the top 10, which shows that, they don't.
It doesn't. Nothing, and that's why there's no chance you don't make the playoffs at 11-1. Because again, they're trying. Like Notre Dame would probably make the playoffs right now, and they have a worse record, and they can't. Like people need to relax with that. The season's over stuff. But yeah, if they lose another game, they're dead basically. So because the ACC doesn't have that respect. But that said, Jazz, we started talking about the offense. So can I get everyone else's thoughts on this? Obviously, the headline was Carson Beck throwing all the interceptions. I believe you touched on that already. But one of the things I did want to talk about that Jazz raised was kind of Jordan Lyle getting inserted in the running game and kind of the lack of rhythm the last 2 games. Now, one thing Shannon Dawson did call out today, which I went back and looked at, which I guess I should have noticed, we didn't run a lot of plays on offense. And part of that is, Louisville didn't put up a huge point total. They had 0 3-and-outs. So Louisville was moving the ball even when they were punting. There just weren't a lot of plays. You look at the number of carries. None of them were effective, but there weren't that many carries to go around either. And the Canes kind of did not have the patience to stick with the run game when they fell behind. So we'll start with you, Blue. How do they fix this running game that appears to have, the last 2 weeks just gone away?
Well, I think people are stacking the box too against them too, and force them. Now they'll do it more so because they think that somebody like Beck is just going to throw wildly into the secondary, So, they're gonna. I think they're gonna stack the box and see and make Miami adjust and see until they bring those linebackers back and get can I say tight ends involved to maybe move the linebackers back a little bit. It's the only way you're going to do it because your receivers are, especially Malachi's not going to, run a lot of those, a lot of bubble screens. So you just got to get those guys off the line of scrimmage. That's the only way to do it. And the only way to do it is come up with another way or be fortunate because they know Miami's got power running game. They don't have a fast running game because they don't see Lyles. I mean, if I'm a defensive coordinator, how can I prepare for Lyles if he hasn't played? All I'm doing is those 2 big backs, number 6 and number 4, and all they're doing is just grinding out yards and using the offensive line to wear them down. And I'll take that any day if I'm a defense. I'll take your 5 yards. 4 or 5 yards a carry, rather than. But
the problem is on Friday it was 2.6.
No, but I'm just saying. Normally, I would take those 4 or 5 yards. Listen, I'm even if I'm Stanford, I'm challenging Beck to beat me.
Yeah, the thing is, if you get the 4 or 5 yards versus the 2-3, you move the chains, and eventually the defense wear down. You start getting those bigger plays, and what has happened. Last few weeks, you're not getting those. I mean, these numbers are terrible. Fletcher 8 for 18, Lyle 5 for 15, Brown 3 for 9. That's awful. Those are all. So they tried all three. None of them did anything. DJ, your thoughts on maybe ways to kind of unstick this running game, which was the strength of the team until 2 weeks ago, and now they're able to run the ball.
It's really interesting because Florida State stacked the box, Louisville stacked the box, and now there's two teams that other teams can watch and kind of see a blueprint for this running game. And one of the biggest issues that I had with Carson Beck was his tendency to want to fit throws into areas which he can sometimes make, but not necessarily on a consistent level. When you combine those two things, like we saw on Friday night, that creates a problem for the offense entirely, both passing and running. As far as kind of fixing the running game, I don't know there's a ton that you can do other than, just try maybe variations of run instead of going up the middle. Maybe try to bounce to the outside, try to get them in space a little bit more. Not that will necessarily work, but just try different variations of runs. Maybe not between the tackles so much. Maybe try to get them outside. And, we talked about this on Saturday, Vish. The Jordan Lyle usage, while there wasn't a ton of plays to be run, this is something that they also tried last week. And so far it seems like, they're not sure what they're going to get out of Lyle or how to incorporate him in this running back room at this point in the season. And I think that might be kind of messing up the rhythm for some of the other backs. It is hard to kind of get a rhythm going when you're getting few carries, but at the same time, I feel like you're kind of stunting the progress of the other backs in the process.
Yeah. What about you, Jess? Would you shorten that rotation back to what it was before Lyle came back, or how would you? Because I would say the one caveat to that is none of them have been effective.
Right.
So it's not like last year against Syracuse when they pulled Damian Martinez out of that game.
I was screaming.
It basically blew the season.
I was screaming. Yeah.
Lyle into that game. That's not happening now. Like, Brown and Fletcher also aren't doing.
I don't think you shorten it. I think that what Dawson needs to do is come up with more with some different concepts, different running concepts, as DJ said, right? Like try to spread it out a little bit. Try some running, some stuff on the outside. Try some jet sweeps. Try to get them incorporated sideline to sideline, especially Jordan Lyle.
Yep.
That's his best running style, right? He's fast. If he gets to the sideline, he can beat some of these linebackers. So I think that with him. And to be quite honest, you can't just do it with him because then it'll be obvious when he's on the field, right? So you got to be able to do that. I still think that Fletch and Marty Brown, these guys can run on the outside as well because they can still break tackles, they can still do those type of things, and they can be aggressive. So I think that maybe running the ball with doing some jet sweeps with the Keelan Marion or Malachi Tony or bringing in a Tony Johnson and doing something like that, right? Incorporate some of your wide receivers in these running schemes. You got to change it up. You got to change the look up a little bit because, as Blue said, as we all said, kind of ad nauseum, they're going to continue to stack the box and say, try to beat us with 2 yards in a cloud of dust every time, right, on the inside. And then now they saw what Carson Beck did and say, now can you beat us in the air, really? And look, and by the way, 2 of those interceptions were incredible plays by the secondary as well, right? Like they made some really awesome plays. They weren't terrible balls thrown. I think the one in the middle to Tony, he got held a little bit, but he's got to go up there and challenge that play also. So it's hit or miss there with some of the balls.
Yeah, that's a great catch, but you still put that on the court because he threw it into triple coverage, and
it's tough.
That's why you don't get the call. Like they're just not going to bail you out when you throw it.
I totally agree.
Contact. So I think that, and again, it was some of those. I wish our receivers could catch some of the Louisville DBs picking those balls up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You got, your wide receivers got to be able to beat that linebacker on that wheel route a little bit more, but he's got to throw the ball a little bit better. So I think that it's a combination of both things. And so you got to be a little bit more creative. I think, I'm not saying again, I don't necessarily think that Dawson's play calling was terrible. I think Beck missed a lot of throws. I think there was a lot of guys that he could have hit. But make no mistake, the Louisville secondary, the Louisville defense had a hell of a game, and they were able to, to really dictate a lot of what was happening on offense for the Hurricanes. And you don't make any adjustments, and you continue to run the football the way you're running it, and it's going to be tough to score some points. And all that being said, you still had a chance to tie the game or possibly win it, and then he threw that ball-headed interception. That was a dumb throw. That was a dumb pass. And I think he'll tell you that himself. It was a stupid throw. And so there's a lot of things that I think they could do a little bit better. But it's just tough. It's just tough to say if I would change anything as far as like limit the amount of carries that maybe Lyle or Marty Brown gets. I think you just have to be a little more versatile with how you run the football, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, one of the interesting things on that, one of the interceptions actually led to the Canes' second touchdown because they fumbled on the next play. I think through the pick. That was on 4th down too, and he was about to get hit, so he kind of threw it. It was more of a prayer ball. And the first interception he threw was on 1st down after the Canes had converted one or kind of driving it up the field. That's a bad one. The 4th down one, I mean, if you took a sack, I would have lost my shit. So at least get the ball up there. Just throw it up, do something. He did. It got picked, and then the next play, of course, Poyser gets the fumble and runs it inside the 20, and then play later you're in the end zone. It's like, hey, that actually interception worked out. So, we got a couple of breaks there. But I do want to touch on something, guys, you talked about that there were guys open. It does feel that outside of Malachi Toney and CJ Daniels, there's like nothing. I know Keelan Marion had 5 catches, which is by far the most he's had, but it feels like there isn't a third option. The tight ends, once again, nothing. Dawson did actually address like how can we rotate more receivers, and and he's basically there weren't that many plays. And again, I did look at it after the fact. We ran less than 60 plays, which is very few in a full football game. So he's like, we don't have that many plays. The stars are stars for a reason. If they're fresh, we're not going to rotate them out just to get the backups in there. If you have another 10 to 15, 20 plays, you're trying to run plays like 70-something plays. You're in the 50s. Then there's more snaps for everyone else, but you're only like, I don't think anyone's saying to take Malachi Toney to get someone else a rep, but I think it is becoming an issue that there is no actual third option. So curious, I guess we'll go around the horn again, start with you, Blue. What's going on? I know you're a big Elijah Lofton fan. He's basically not done much. That was, I believe, who that last interception was intended for. And they talked about how there was a miscommunication there. But what is going on with the tight end playing overall? Why are we essentially just throwing to 2 guys?
That may be a DJ question, but I don't really know. I mean, I've asked a lot of people. You figured that Dawson is a smart man. He knows, how to call offenses, obviously.
Well, yeah, just to caveat that, like, we know this offense will use the tight. Elijah Arroyo was a top, 2nd-round pick or whatever, and was used all over the field last year. So it's not like they won't use the tight end. It's bizarre that they can't seem to get anything going there.
I don't know. I would say, to me, I just think that people are adjusting to what we're doing, but we're not making adjustments to what they made adjustments to. So therefore, you get it in your head, and I think DJ said it before, or Vish, you said it, that somebody like Beck will hit on one and then think he could throw it in coverage again. And if you look at 2 of those interceptions, the ball was just hanging up there. It gave the safety an opportunity twice to come over and just take it out of the air with not much effort. So to me, his reads aren't very well. He's focusing in on, if he looks at a target, he's focusing in on the target and his coverage, but not looking at the backside coverage, that somebody else is there with him. So if he's trying to throw like to his backside shoulder, he doesn't realize that somebody other than the guy mainly covering him is there. And that happened twice where he threw it. I forgot who he threw it to. I don't know. Maybe it was CJ that he was throwing it up middle, But first of all, he threw it off his back foot. And as soon as he threw it, I said, oh, that ain't looking good. And he got picked. And I said, and what happened is when they did the replay, because I was sitting in the press box and I was there and talking to one of the guys, and I said, well, look on the replay. You see, when Beck threw it, he was looking at his receiver in his immediate coverage. He didn't look at the he didn't look at the backside coverage on him. So that's where the guy picked it. He really didn't have to run very hard. He held it up long enough where the ball just, was easy picking. And he did it twice. That's the thing that pissed me off the most, is that, you think you'd learn, maybe we need to go to a shorter game, because that's what they were doing. If that's another thing, it's going to, I think, because you have running backs that catch the ball. How come we don't do many screens? Why don't we get the offense our defense in a precarious position? We let them play base defense too much. We don't get them out of their base defenses enough. And, we throw very few screens. And I think and I'm not saying every other series to do it. I'm just saying, let's loosen it up. That's the only way you're going to loosen up. Because if they get to sit in their base defense, a 6-man front, what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything against them. You're not going to run against them. Because first of all, I was listening to you say, well, maybe we need to go outside. With who? Not with those two big guys. By the time they decide to move laterally to the right or left, they'll be caught. They're power backs. They're tackle-to-tackle runners. Maybe you should insert a Pringle or somebody like that, just to get somebody that can get the ball outside and take them away from playing, that 6-man front. And that's the only way you're going to do it, Vish. You're not going to be able to do it just running your regular offense. You're going to have to go to some gimmicks. You're going to have to go. I saw, hey, look how they scored on a gimmick play to Malachi throwing the ball. See, so that's what you're going to have to do. Even if you're a good offense, sometimes you're going to have to get that defense out of its, out of its adjustment. You see, that's what I was just saying, DJ. They make the adjustments, but you got to make the adjustments back. You got to do something that's going to counter what they just made, and Miami's not doing that. And I don't know why.
They actually called a play in the first half where Tony was supposed to throw it, but Louisville covered it, so he ran for a couple of yards too. So they definitely were trying to use his previous life as a quarterback there.
But you can't go to the Hail Mary every play. I mean, you kind of got to do something.
Well, they did. They ran him throwing the ball twice. So the first time he didn't attempt it because it was covered, but so they're definitely not leaving that in the bag.
I think from a standpoint of running a screen to your backs, or maybe even setting Elijah Lofton up for a screen and getting him out in space, because I think that's where he's pretty lethal when he gets the ball in his hands in space. We saw it when they scrimmaged when he had to play running back that time.
I don't know why they're not using him at all. I really don't know.
It's a mystery to me, but every time I mention it, I get all this feedback from all the fans saying, that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm not in.
Well, I'm with you. So if you don't know what you're talking about, then I'll.
Yeah, I'm not at the practices. I don't know what they do in practice. That maybe he's not grasping. But let me mention.
He'd be an All-American first-round pick. So.
But just let me mention once that he may leave, and then the whole world is on my ass. So forget it. So
no, you're right, Blue. I mean, I don't know I don't know what they're doing, and I know my gimmick here is a tight end, but I mean, they really haven't been utilized enough in this offense, and we saw it at times last year as well. So it's kind of mystifying because, like Vish and you guys said, there's only, 2 options, it seems like, and there's no third receiver, and the tight ends can help provide that. So I don't know.
Miami's offense is really vanilla.
By the way, Carson Beck is not opposed to throwing his tight ends. If you recall, a couple years ago, he had a guy.
Yeah,
Brock Bowers.
Well, I mean, that's Brock Bowers and everybody else.
Yeah, the one caveat I would say to this,
so I don't know,
is again, I mean, So, as Jeff pointed out, like we know Beck will throw to a tight end, he threw it to Bowers. We know that Dawson will use the tight end because Arroyo was everywhere last year. So something is disconnected here, and it's just not syncing up. And we can all speculate on what is happening, but it's not like I'm seeing him like running open and it's not throwing it to him. He's almost like a non-entity, which is very strange for someone that was highly touted coming in.
I just think when we're going to throw the tight ends, just bring Emory Williams in and we'll throw the tight end.
Which team?
What? I'm sorry. What?
He's going to hit their linebackers. I mean, let's anyway. Yeah, let's not speak anything that existed, my friend. Yeah, so a lot to work on there, and we'll see if they can, get more. I think at some point, more people than Malachi Tony and CJ Daniels need to be.
I know the whole JoJo Williams thing is just so it's so talked about and so out of it's.
Here's the thing.
Guys, as a fan base, just there's not much else we can do.
Well, I also think we need to provide some context again. They're asked about it every week in the press conferences. Like they talk about it. Like he's got to work his way back and he's got to earn his playing time. And again, I know I'm just quoting Dawson on this, so it's a little bit of being a shell for the coaches. But 59 plays is not enough offensive plays to actually like get into your 4th and 5th and 6th receivers and get them catches and get them touches. So like we'll see against Stanford if we get more plays and if he starts to see an expanded role. But I'm sorry, at no point in that game I'm like, get Malachi off the field. We need JoJo. Like that's just
no, but I don't think
you always get that through natural rest progressions throughout the game. But there were just so few plays they didn't have those.
I don't know if they're necessarily asking to get Malachi off the field. Maybe like you mentioned, right? We don't have a number 3. Why? And hypotheticals, right? Is Keelan Marion better than JoJo, or is that what we're experiencing? Because at some point, working your way into that rotation, talent takes over no matter what, right? You're either talented enough to get in that rotation or you're not. You either practice or are you doing something else wrong that you're not supposed to be that's not allowing you to get on the field, right? We can speculate. I can speculate until we're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, if you are who everybody said you were, you need to be on that field catching passes or at least being on the field and trying to be productive. If you're not at this point already back and have to pass Keelan Marion or Tony Johnson or Josh Moore or anybody else that's supposedly in front of you, then I don't know if that's necessarily a problem with the coaches or getting playing time. That might be a problem with you, JoJo Trader. And I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. At this point, his talent should have already surpassed the whole, well, you got to practice well enough to get on the field. I mean, you got to be doing something wrong not to be on the field just yet if you're JoJo Trader. And so, to me, I think there's more. There's more. I'm not saying there's more to it off the field. I'm saying there might be more to it than him just being talented enough to get on the field. I'm not sure what it is. It is frustrating. I can see it. If I'm a fan, it's frustrating because you get all this all world shit from JoJo Trader. Oh my God, he's just as good as Jeremiah Smith, and here he is. Riding pine and eating shit for the Miami Hurricanes and not getting on the field. And so it's frustrating to see from a fan base. If we're talking about fan base, we're not talking about coaches. Coaches don't care what the fan base says. They're not who to put in and who not to put in. And if you're the fan base, you're saying this guy's supposed to be this talented, he hasn't gotten on the field yet. What the hell is going on? He needs to be on the field. We saw it in the bowl game that he caught that ball, scored a touchdown. He's talented. He can go out and get the ball. What the hell is going on with him right now? And it's a valid question. It's a valid question. And coaches are going to tell you certain things, and sometimes they're going to leave certain things out because, again, they don't have to tell you everything. But at the same time, it's kind of frustrating. And I can see that, right? He needs to be on the field already. That's just the bottom line is where I'm trying to get at. From a fan's perspective, from a player perspective. If you're that good, get on the damn field and make some plays.
Yeah, but I think last Friday's game is obviously the one everyone's going to point at because the team lost and Carson Beck threw 4 interceptions. It's also a bad example just because I didn't see Josh Moore, Tony Johnson hardly out there.
What's going on?
Well, because we didn't, because to Dawson's point, we didn't really rotate because there weren't enough plays to really need to do that. So It's probably a bad example because in the week leading up, again, they say whatever in a press conference, but Dawson did talk about, hey, I hope we can get him on the field. There's opportunities. And then 59 play again, not getting 3 and outs, actually good transition to the defense. Not getting those stops, even when the stops was after drives, that limits your offensive plays. But one thing I wanted to talk about, which we saw a little bit throughout the season, certainly Notre Dame hit a couple of big plays, but there were a lot of explosive plays given up by this defense. Touchdown passes of 35 and 36 yards. Their last touchdown drive featured a 20-yard run on the 3rd and 10, a 15-yard run on a 2nd and 13. Those are situations where you should be getting off the field. Are we at all – we'll start with you on this one, Jess, since we've been going the other direction. Are you at all concerned with the number of chunk plays this defense is giving out?
Yeah, you cannot give up 15 yards or 20 yards on a 3rd and 10. If even being a mediocre defense, I think at that point you need to play better defense. I'm not sure. You hear we heard the stories about how bad their offensive line was, and their offensive line looked like one of the best in the ACC, right? I mean, it's almost trying to understand what the hell they were doing, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think that our linebacker play was probably the most disappointing out of everybody at a very position. You saw them, and you could tell that they were struggling at linebacker because every time I saw a new series, there was a new set of linebackers in. It was either Toure and Popo, or then it was Toure and West, and then it was Popo and Chase Smith. And then there were multiple times you saw them trying to change it up on defense at the linebacker position because I think that the linebackers were struggling with whatever Jeff Rom was throwing at them, right? They were, and Coach Cristobal said it at the half when they interviewed him. He said there's a lot of missed gap assignments by this defense right now, which is causing these chunk plays or causing some of these big plays. And they really did. They adjusted a little bit in the second half, but they still were having an issue with gap assignments for the linebackers. I think the linebackers were filling the wrong holes. You saw it on that big run by Isaac Brown. You saw it on Kewan Brown made a nice play as well. And then, up in the middle of the field, those two touchdowns that went for 35 and 36 yards were plays that the ball was thrown only 5 yards, right? Basically, right? It was crossing routes, crossing patterns. Where the hell are the linebackers there? The first one, well, Chris Bell was just butt naked, right? He was wide open, and then he just beat everybody. He literally beat everybody to the sideline for a touchdown. Nobody was in the middle of the field there. The second one, there was 15 Hurricane players in the middle of that field. Somehow he got the ball off, and everybody whiffed at him. And the linebackers were there. The linebackers, he saw. So what happened was there's 2 linebackers here, and I'll just illustrate for everybody that's watching, is at the snap, Miller Moss saw the linebackers do this. Chris Ball ran right through the middle here. He caught the ball here. This linebacker had a great opportunity to tackle him, completely whiffed on him. Then there was another 2 or 3 Hurricanes here, and he ran right by them for a touchdown. And I know a lot of people that are listening will probably understand what I was saying, but the linebackers spread out a little bit, and they couldn't make the play after that. And so to me, that's a big issue with how the linebackers are performing right now. And we thought, hey, maybe it might be a bit of an issue, but they looked pretty bad last game. So I'm gonna go with that. I think that they need to make some adjustments at linebacker as well, because it was just unacceptable the way that they played.
Yeah, and actually I think it was Mario. It was either him or Heatherman talked about that and how the play call was there. That last one where Louisville called timeout and then drew that up, and he said the linebacker just didn't get the right depth in his drop, and that opened the seam up that shouldn't have been there. So yeah, definitely the coaches as well kind of saw Jazz what you were talking about on film. Blue, your thoughts? How did the Canes limit these explosive plays? Look, the defense is obviously way better than last year, but it's still a work in progress here.
Well, if you notice tempo, the offense run, especially Louisville, I would just love to go to a Louisville practice and watch their offense because I think they run tempo is better than anybody in the country. They did it last year too. And if you remember, they just know how to catch you off guard. what they do is when they come out of that huddle, I think the quarterback is, and I think everybody has a key. To be honest with you, every position on that offense has a key. And if they see you lined up in that way, they talk. And it's sort of like somebody wrote before, they watch film. They watch film of the defense, know exactly what they're going to do. So if they run tempo and you're out of position, they'll snap right away. And you lost already. You lost already, because if let's say their slot guy or Bell, like the other day, he had that one play. I think it was in the first drive when he came right out, and there was really I forgot who was it Poiser was on him, darted to the middle, came out, and boom, 9, 12, 14 yards. They came back to the huddle. I don't even think they did a huddle. They just came right back. But that, to me, but you have to have the personnel, Vish, to run it. Okay. So like Stanford couldn't just come out and, I mean, they could assimilate it and maybe try it to see, but that's the part of watching film. Because you check out tendencies. But yeah, Louisville, I think, may be as good as anybody in the country of running a tempo offense, because they have a guy who, it's sort of like you come out. There's some teams, like, let's say it's a quick in, but your running backs and everybody else have a key to see if that quick in has to mean that your middle linebacker is playing over further or playing back, or it won't work because he'd be right in that position where you're going to throw it. They have a tendency, and if you look, Moss don't check off a lot. He comes right out of there and ready to do what they tell him to do. And
I'm not sure there's a better schemer or play caller than Jeff Brom.
I agree. I mean, not to say that everybody in the country can't do it. Sure. It's just you have to be proficient at being able to know where your defense is going to line up, and then that's up to Heatherman on the other side to start making adjustments to read. And that's what I just said to you, DJ. We're not doing that part. They're adjusting, but we're not readjusting. And then, like at halftime or whatever, Heatherman could be on the side while the offense is on the field and looking at the little iPad or whatever they have, and said, "Look, when they come out, go ahead, Jazz." What?
I just want to really quick also talk about what George Blanco just wrote, bring up his point about the defense. At the same time that we did give up some chunk plays, it was a bend but don't break. We still only gave up 24 points. And some of those 24 points were on shorter fields because Beck made some errors on offense. And I said it on Friday night. I said
none of the interceptions were anywhere near our side of the field. They're all deep in Louisville territory.
Were they really?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Remember, he tried to go long all those times, like I just said.
Right. You're right.
And he didn't realize somebody was up.
Either way, it's 24 points, right? Whereas opposed to, still holding that type of offense to 24 points. Again, I don't think it was a matter of the defense giving up this game. I think definitely we made too many mistakes on offense and too many penalties in crucial times that afforded us this loss. I don't think it was really on the defense.
But that's part of the game. That's part of the game of football.
The massive chunk plays were
penalties should not be part of the game. I think that they should have cleaned that up by now. I think that's the undisciplined.
And they shouldn't be, but they are,
especially at home.
Jazz, I do think we've talked a lot this year about how the team's playing complementary football. This is the opposite of that. The defense couldn't get off the field. Even when the drives didn't end in points, it was still, 8 plays, punt from midfield type of stuff, and eat 3 minutes, 4 minutes off the clock. And like I said, the offense couldn't drive the ball either to give the defense a rest. So it was the opposite of what we have seen, where the defense kind of gets the ball back to the offense methodically works it. It went the other way this time. So while they didn't give up that many points, they definitely allowed Louisville to possess the ball. They had almost 400 yards of offense, which again, Louisville might average more than that, but if we're saying this is, the best team in the country, you should be holding teams below their average. But I don't think it was the defense's best game. I think if you want to point to one thing, Carson Beck threw 4 interceptions. That's why he lost. If you want to, and basically there was no touchdown.
Their best game, they're still good enough to win that game.
Right. But if you're trying to be a great team, at times both sides have to save the other half, and the defense need to be better to win that game too.
And it was also very clear that they had no plan for Isaac Brown either. I mean, he could pretty much do whatever he wanted, and defensive line couldn't stop him. So even though it was only 24 points they gave up, I mean, they still let some big time playmakers and Brown, and then the wide receiver. I can't.
Well, the offense couldn't stay on the field long enough to be able to sustain any drives, and that, and of course, the defense gave up some long drives. They gave up some yardage, but I still think that, obviously we're not blaming the defense, but I think that the defense could have made some.
But it was a team. I guess when I just don't agree with this that Beck lost the game, plain and simple. To me, no, it's a lot more.
No, I don't know if he lost the game himself. He was a big part of it, but I think I think
both sides. Everyone other than Carter Davis contributed to that. He made his kicks.
The clock management was also contributing to that.
We talked about that pretty extensively on Saturday's show in terms of how the end sequence is managed a certain way.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Probably contributed to that interception too.
Yeah,
because it was hurry for sure.
It was a team loss. The team, the defense again. You can call this defense or special teams, but how you're not prepared for that fake from the 5-yard line is just inexcusable on any level. When are they really going to kick? They're on the road, the number 2 team. They drove it down. It's 4th and 2 on the 4-yard line. They're really going to kick this field goal? You're not ready for that fake. That's 7 points right there.
Yeah.
And you just blew it, right? You should have been up. And DJ and I talked about this on Saturday as well. If you had been in a field goal safe, they kick the field goal. That's an option that the holder has. So they would have kicked the 3 points, but that's the difference in the game. Again, you get them to 3rd and 10 after making a field goal, so you kind of got a little momentum. You let them run for 20 yards on 3rd down. Then later in the drive, it's 2nd and 13. They run for 15 yards and they throw a 36-yard touchdown pass. That's inexcusable defense.
Yeah.
To not finish those drives off and get the ball back. So is that the reason? No. If the offense had scored better and not turned over, they would have won. If the defense had made a few more plays, they would have won. It's a team game. It always is going to be. The only time they really was any kind of synergy was the fumble, and then the offense immediately turning that into a touchdown. That's when it actually played like a team. Again, this is overly simplistic. When the game is played at a certain pace and a certain rhythm. The 24 points is also because Louisville held the ball. We only ran 59 plays because Louisville held the ball. So, the defense couldn't get off the field, which is a big contributing factor to this game. If I allow the team, obviously this is not realistic, if I allow the team to go on 2 28-minute touchdown drives and they score 14 points and win 14-7, did the defense win the game? Of course not. They gave 14 points. There's more than just the score there.
No, you also throw 4 interceptions. You're giving them extra possessions as well, right? So
but those were deep. Those were deep in the possessions, though. Again, I'm just going off of the way the game transpired. It's not that I'm not defending the offensive performance. I think it was terrible. They didn't drive the ball for a touchdown the whole game. There was 2 deep passes to set up the first one, and the other one was off of a fumble. The defense set them up for on the 12-yard line. Malachi Tony ran it.
Right.
There was no touchdown driving on the offense. You're gonna have to say we have to blame one side. It's definitely the offense. I'm not arguing that, but to absolve
did them no favor.
Saying it was 24 points is just missing all of the stuff they should have done that they didn't do as well. And I don't even think
I'm sure they'll tell you. I'm sure that the defense will tell you. There's a lot of things we could have done now.
Yeah, including getting off the field. They just didn't do that effectively, and they allowed Louisville to kind of hold the ball and shorten the game, and that's why the offense didn't have as many possessions as well. And the interceptions were obviously terrible. If you kick field goals, you win that game. But so anyway, let's look ahead to this week. So there's more football. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the halfway mark of the season. Believe it or not, after all that crap, played 6 games, so we got half the season left.
Hey, so far, who's gotten it right record-wise? I think I'm so far.
You nailed it. You nailed it. You're the only one who's nailed it. So you had us at 5-1 with the loss to Louisville. You had us winning the last 6. So let's hope you continue to be right. Let's talk a little bit about Stanford. Obviously, this was late night on Saturday, but they did beat FSU, which is by far their best win of the season. So we'll start with you on this, Jess. Are you worried at all about this game now on Saturday, given that they're coming off this hot winning streak?
No. If you're asking me from a fan's point of view, I think okay. If you're Miami, the Miami we think you are this year, the number 2 team, well now number 9 team in the country. But if you are the best, one of the best teams in college football, you put up a 50-burger on Stanford this weekend. You go out there and you execute and you completely dominate the game. Maybe a 50-burger is expecting too much, but again, if you're the Miami football team that I think you are, that I think Vish thinks we are, you go out there and you completely dominate Stanford. Stanford's not any good. Okay, they just beat, again, another terrible FSU team. I don't care what we say at this point. Unfortunately, that win against FSU doesn't look great anymore. You go out there and you beat the living daylights out of Stanford. It's just the bottom line. That's what you have to do. You got to come back from an abysmal performance like what you did. You don't care if they stack the line with 45 players. You go out there and you destroy them. And you destroy Stanford. You completely dominate them on both sides of in all three aspects of football. And that's it. That's the bottom line. I don't think Stanford is good enough Stanford is not good enough to be on the football field with you right now. I think if we think they're the Miami we think they are, they come out and they completely dominate this game. Period.
Yeah. So apparently it's not a fireable offense because Norvell kept his job. Billy Napier did not, but Norvell is safe to the end of the season apparently.
$63 million buyout.
I help a little bit.
I think Mario has something like that too, but let's not talk about
that. Blue, your thoughts on Stanford? Any concerns going into this game? Anything that you learned about them maybe on Saturday and their ability to beat FSU that would you think carry over to this week?
I watched the game and I watched them against San Jose, but then I watched them against SMU, and it's not Stanford. It's Miami I have reservations about right now. I really do. I don't 30 point. I'll jump on that for $1 million. There's no way Miami's beating them by 30. Miami just hasn't proven this to me yet. Their execution is poor. Their decision making is poor. They make no goddamn adjustments. They got to prove it to me. I don't care I don't care if it was Wyoming Central. It's not the opposition. It's Miami that bothers me. Miami's got to execute. They got to use the right combinations at running back. They got to use their damn tight ends, and they got to stop with the stupid ass mistakes. I think they win 30-14.
Yeah, good point. We don't want to start comparing SAT scores. We're going to lose that game. But
well, maybe not. Miami's got some pretty smart kids.
I mean, that's where my degree is from. But even I'm not about to line our SAT scores up against Stanford's. But
they trump us with Andrew Luck there, all right?
Andrew will be at the game. You could go say hello.
Yeah, he's an AD or whatever his job is over there.
The team, the GM.
Yeah, GM.
Yeah, he's the GM. Yeah, and Frank Reich is the temporary head coach.
Yeah. Lisa Rice will even be there, I think.
It was such a weird setup. And this I agree with. Sorry not to circle back to Chris. Yeah, that's all I'm saying is the defense had opportunities to win the game and didn't do their job either. But yeah, we're doing about scales of justice thing. The offense is obviously turnover 4 times and really only have one touchdown drive because it almost set up by the defense. That's not enough. DJ, your thoughts on Stanford?
I agree with Blue. There's a lot of red flags with this team right now, and they got to clean it up on Saturday. They have to. I'm not going to say they're going to blow out Stanford, nor do I necessarily want them to. Or I want them to see what I want to see is no stupid penalties, know, oh, I can fit the ball on Mars if I just throw it 10 more yards. Play clean, take what the defense gives you. Try to get the running game going if you can. Stanford is probably going to stack the box because that's how you can beat the Miami running game. And just get back to playing not sexy football, but winning football. Take what the defense gives you. No hero throws, no stupid penalties, and then, I'll be happy. But they got to clean a lot of that stuff up if they want to convince me that they're a national title contender.
Yeah, it's a hard team to judge because other than Bethune, these have all been. I know FSU looks like garbage now, but they have athletes. There's not been that true team that's actually kind of similar leveled, but that you can hit. This is probably the easiest game they've played outside of Bethune on paper, at least. So, it's hard. Do they have that explosiveness in them? It's obviously you're not going to explode on Notre Dame or something and put up 60 points against them or something like that. It's just not going to happen. So, they haven't really. USF is really good, especially defensively. So is UF. There haven't really been these opponents you're playing where you're like, well, that defense is terrible and they should be able to go up and down the field again. So it'll be a test to see if they can do that because they should. Hawaii beat Stanford. There's no excuse for not just wiping the floor. Let's be real here. I totally acknowledge what Blue is saying and what you're saying, DJ, and that let's just execute and actually play a proper game because we haven't done that yet. But if you can't do this, this is the bottom right here. Yeah. This is the bottom. And you have to be able to handle that, and you have to be able to just dominate them.
Yeah.
Now, I doubt you'll get your wish if no stupid penalties, because let's be real, 6 games in the season.
I don't know what that is all about. That never used to be a problem, and now
at this point, if you're doing it 6 games in a row across 2 bye weeks, it's part of who you are. So I would expect bad penalties and annoying penalties, but I think. These are games where those 10-yard passes you throw turn into 50-yard passes because they can't tackle you. We should see that.
So take what the defense gives you.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have to force it because I think people will be open. Like you said, it's not that. And again, we talked about this coming into Louisville. They're gonna lean on their strong run defense and they're gonna throw quick passes to neutralize the Canes' defensive line. They did it, and somehow the Canes weren't ready for it, but. Stanford, Braun can hand them the playbook and be like, I will go stand on the sideline and call the plays. It's not going to work with Stanford. They can load up on the run, like Luke said, shove them out of the way. They're Stanford. This is not so this is not Louisville from a player standpoint. So, I expect this team to be able to go out there and dominate, even though acknowledging that we've seen them beat good teams convincingly, but we haven't seen them really blow anyone out. Because again, there's not a reasonable expectation you're going to blow out good teams, but that's kind of what the schedule has been very front loaded. So we'll see. I
just want to see good habits, not necessarily blowouts, but good habits for the rest of the season moving forward. Yeah. And this could be a game to start those again.
And to be fair, if I was a LSU or Oregon fan, I feel the same way about those teams.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think Oregon's been such a world beater. Shit.
I don't think there's a team right now in the NCAA that doesn't have their deficiencies. Maybe, and I'm talking about even Ohio State and Indiana, who are at the top of the list.
But that being said, Jazz, if Alabama played those two, they beat them both. And that's the thing it gets you, that Alabama readjusted after that FSU game and started playing to their strengths.
Especially Ty Simpson.
He didn't have a good game, but he's had great games ever since. I watched him against Tennessee. They dominated him up front. But that's what I'm saying. I want to see that out of Miami.
You want to see the adjustments.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, it is. I got good show and tell today.
Well, let's quickly do some predictions.
Who cares about anything else? We got show and tell.
Yeah. Let's do some predictions real quick, and then we'll definitely do some show and tell.
I love you, man. You're the man. You're the best.
All right. Jats, you're up first. What is your prediction for this game?
69-12. No, I said that Miami needs to dominate this game and put up a 50 burger if they could, but I'll keep it. I'll keep it a little bit, a little bit under 50. I'm going to say 41. 41-34. 13. I'm telling you, I think Miami beats the living daylights. 41-13, Miami. That's
All right, 41-13. Blue to you.
30-14.
30-14. DJ?
35-17.
35-17. All right. Well, why the hell not? I'll give Jazz
the
50. I'll give Jazz 50. But 50 is not a good number for football. So 51, get some field goals in there.
Okay.
2-3. Let's go.
Ooh, that would be a massive performance for the defense.
Let's do it.
And exactly what I want to see.
Good. I think they had some. I think we're not going to find out. And actually, someone mentioned this late in the chat, but another good kind of schematic guy is Lashley. So I think in a couple of weeks we're going to see if the defense is better able to handle someone that's going to get the ball out quick and move. The Stanford just doesn't have the personnel, so I don't think there'll be an issue this week. But that's also not going to test whether they've solved anything.
I also want people to understand something, and I think we spoke about this at the beginning of the season and going into the season. I think that a lot of people forget we had the number one offense in the country last year, right? And I think a lot of people are jaded by that. So the expectation is that we're going to be this Cam Ward-style offense that's going to score 45, 50 points a game. We talked about this, Fish. Remember, everybody here, this is not going to be that Cam Ward offense. They're going to be a little bit different. They're not going to score 45 points a game. They may not score as many points a game. It's going to be more surgical, more analytical. Yeah, they're going to run the football better. Now, have we been completely right on everything? No, absolutely not, right? Obviously, the running game is having an issue right now. And actually Carson Beck is also, obviously. But I think that we need to temper expectations. We're not going to be that Cam Ward offense. Do we need to be a little bit better? Yes, right? But having the number one offense in the country, we told you this year it's not going to be that. But I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be able to make some adjustments. I think that they'll get better. I think Carson Beck is smart enough. He's a smart quarterback, man. He doesn't make a lot of the same mistakes. I know he has one or two of these games a year. I think he'll be all right. I think he's going to go back to the drawing board, look at film, see what he did wrong, correct his mistakes. I think he's going to have a nice game this weekend. That's all I got.
Yeah, and again, I think part of that is also the defense just getting off the field more quickly to get them. I'm just looking at the play log. They're, again, because Dawson called us out, I actually didn't realize this, but they had 5 possessions in the first half, not counting the kneel at the very last play. Just got the ball, kneeled it, and then 6 in the second half. That is not a lot of shots at the ball. And 2 field goals, 2 touchdowns. Just scored on 4 of those, but obviously not nearly enough for turnovers killed. But it's all going to come back together. And again, like you said, Jazz, it's not going to be last year's Cam Ward lighting everyone up, but the defense is better, and overall, you're hoping the team will be better. All right, Blue. First, real quick, did that loss on Saturday, do you think that's going to impact, Friday, do you think that's going to impact recruiting at all, or is that?
No.
I
talked to a bunch of the kids, and they're not concerned. They had a good little group. We'll have a couple of kids this Saturday night because there's really nothing going on. They pretty much have who they have. Those kids believe in them. The big lineman kid, Irvin from Fort Myers, had a chance to get in with him, and doesn't faze them. They know what the objective is.
Okay, all right. I know, Jazz. I know you got to run, so if you want to wave bye to everyone, then we'll get.
Jazz.
Hopefully, I'll see you guys Saturday at the game. Okay, and see you guys.
It is a night game, so everyone head out to the Rock for that. Mr. Bluestein, you teased the show and tell. Let's see it.
Yeah, I did. I went to this game. It was back on October 5th of 1985 in Greenville, East Carolina. I went to this game. Can you see it? Let's see.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like a field
I went to that game, and Miami fell behind early in the contest, and then they kind of rallied. Vinny Testaverde threw for 385 yards. Miami won the game 27-15. They lost the first game of the year to Florida, and they lost the last game in the Sugar Bowl to Tennessee 35-7. But, this is when they had a lot of good talent. Steve Walsh. Actually, Basil Proctor played defensive back. His kid's a tight end at Miami South Ridge. I had a chance to watch him the other night. big time cast of characters that they had on this team: Melvin Bratton and Randy Shannon. This was the year after the championship, but they finished 10-2. But it was the first time I had ever been to Ficklin Stadium in North Carolina. It was nice little thing. And that was when, back in those days, is when East Carolina with Jeff Blake a little bit later would give Miami fits, them and Mississippi.
There was a couple of bad games against East Carolina in the 90s. Came in the Orange Bowl and blew the Canes out. And then
yeah. And I remember when they played them the night Miami. I don't know if you remember, but it was Thanksgiving night. Miami played on Thanksgiving night against East Carolina, and that was the night they beat them and accepted the bowl bid to the Orange Bowl.
Oh, interesting.
That year. So that wasn't that year, but that was, I think, the 86, 87, somewhere in that. But
I want to say 90s. I think in 90s.
Probably in that. Yeah, probably.
East Carolina came in here and blew the Canes out.
Oh, no, that wasn't that game. But this was on. I remember because it was they fed us Thanksgiving dinner. It was a rare Thanksgiving game at the OB, and but East Carolina back then, Miami used to play them. They used to play against Mississippi State with Rocky Felker and all, that's when I pull these old things out, if you notice the schedule that Miami had in the 70s, and if they had them now, everyone would bitch and moan, oh my God, look at the schedule.
Yeah. Life of an independent.
Well, that's right. But they used to play, the great thing when I was growing up, you played Army and Navy every year. And those were fun because you used to get pretty good crowds on a Friday night because they would time it where a lot of especially when Navy came in, when a lot of their ships would not be far away and they would come in and a lot of these, so it was pretty good. And, but as I'm going through more and more stuff, I'm finding older, when I actually traveled to those games and back in the 80s and the early 90s, and got to go to, Duke, and got a chance to go to Missouri and Cincinnati. And didn't go to see when they play San Diego State in Tokyo. But it was fun. And you look back at a lot of those games and look at the personnel. Like, when Miami played against Naval Academy and future NC State head coach Tom Davis, he was in Naval Academy. He was a naval officer, and it's pretty neat to see a lot of those things and a lot of those guys who went on to coaching or into playing and stuff like that. And even Duke back in the day had a couple of guys. And but just to let my friend know who doubted me on the Georgia Tech win against Duke last week, he told me Mensah was the best player in the ACC and he was going to rip him up. And Georgia Tech won't lose until the Georgia game, and that may be iffy because they're just too well coached.
Yeah, well, Duke, if you watch that game, was not well coached because they just gift wrapped that and handed it.
Yeah, no,
I get inside the 5-yard line 3 times and the score is 10-7.
Yeah.
That is not.
Miami's running out of home games they're going to have to utilize because I know what's going to happen. Like, I know for sure the 2 games at SMU and at Pitt after Thanksgiving are going to be bitches. And and you've been to Blacksburg, and if they make that a night game, they'll just rally around that one game, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, there's the margin for error is gone. So you got to win. There's 3 road games and 3 home games. You got to win them all. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that's it.
But yeah, the East Carolina has a lot of history there. In the 90s, they came in here and blew the Canes out 31-6, and then 1999, the Canes went up there. And the game, there was a hurricane that actually damaged East Carolina.
And they had to play that game somewhere else.
Yeah, they moved the game to NC State Stadium. Canes were up 23-3 and blew the game and lost 27-23. So
yeah,
man, those were some lead. That was right before
that.
the program took off again and started killing everyone. That was the last season before.
I do remember that game because there was more water in North Carolina than it was crazy. Yeah. They showed the picture of the campus of East Carolina in Greenville, and the damn water was up to like the third floor. Some of them.
Yeah, no, it was all flooded out. So it was an off-campus game that the Canes managed to blow anyway. So,
well, I know that happens. I mean, I remember it. And I remember after Hurricane Andrew when they played Iowa.
Yeah,
Miami had to play on a Saturday night at Iowa, and and Tom Arnold was their halftime guest. Being from Iowa, but yeah, Miami's played some great, venues over the years. I'm just still looking for that rematch of UNLV. They played them in 1972. It's been a long time since.
Aren't they? I thought they were on the schedule. Are they not?
No.
I felt like
they're having tough enough time beating Boise State, let alone anybody else.
Well, I do know the Canes will be playing Utah in Vegas. At least that's still
next year, right? Or 2 years?
2 years, I think. That's still they obviously.
Yes, you're right.
We talked about the South Carolina series got canceled because of the.
Yes.
The ACC going to 9 conference games, but yeah, why do I think UNLV was on schedule? It's definitely not. So anyway, hopefully we have a cheerier show next week.
Hopefully,
DJ and I will be on Sunday morning to break down the Stanford game.
Yeah, if we listen to Stanford, it's going to be a rough Sunday show.
Because if the game's a loss, that's not going to be a pretty.
Yes, I did, Jason. I went to the 80 game at Michigan.
Yes, so Jason asked, go to the Michigan.
Yeah, I did. I posted the program about 2 months ago here.
Yeah, that was that game in Michigan. The A's was one of the great comebacks. This time positive for the Canes, so that was good.
Yeah, but I was at that game.
We will not be dealing with this kind of trolling. Nebraska, as DJ can attest, is several levels below Miami at this current juncture. Anyway, DJ and I will obviously do a post game Sunday morning. Hopefully, this time after a win. This show will be back 8:30 on Monday. We should have buckets, I believe, on Thursday to talk hoops, which is a week away, believe it or not.
Wow.
So, they wedged Jay Lucas into the press conference after the football coaches. So, everything is kicking off there. Again, as always, thanks everyone for joining us. Please sure to subscribe to the podcast, 5 Reasons Canes podcast. Search for that Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, or just throw it into Google. It'll send you right to the link so you can download, listen to the audio of this and all of our other shows on the 5 Reasons Sports Network covering the Canes. DJ Blue, thanks for joining me here, and let's look for brighter times ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.